We are Movie Menu Reviews, the Meryl Streep of podcasts. On today's menu, we'll be reviewing The Post. Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast. Here on episode 174.
174.
And we are live on Facebook.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching live. I'm joined by our special correspondent, Rigo Espinoza.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for having me again.
Again.
It's a Rigo marathon.
I did not.
I guess Rigo's New Year's resolution is to be on every single show now.
No, it's not. Actually. Oh, yeah. You know what? I want to be on yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Also here is my special co-host, Mike Stay.
Yay! I've been promoted to special co-host.
Did I say special co-host?
Yeah. Or was that an insult?
And soon to be international music star.
Oh, yeah. Mike has a music video out
He does.
where his long flowing locks are set free on the beach somewhere in California, I hope.
Yes. Yeah, it was in California. It would be kind of cool if it was international. Yeah.
Well, the song is international, so
Yes.
technically I guess you can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna be like David Hasselhoff. You're gonna be big in Germany.
Sure. I don't mind at all.
All right, let's go ahead. And so we're going to review The Post. This will be our last review, even though now it's Happy New Year. It's 2018. This is the last movie that we're reviewing for 2017. And then we're going to do our season finale next week.
Yes.
Season finale. What podcast is the season finale? Us.
Yes.
That's who. The Meryl Streeps of podcasting.
Meryl Streep.
Are you guys gonna-
Each one of us is Meryl Streep.
Are you guys gonna leave it with the cliffhanger for next season?
Yeah, we should.
We should.
I'm excited.
But we're
We
not.
will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So our season finale, we're going to discuss our top picks of 2017, our most disappointing picks of 2017, and our most anticipated film of 2018 that is within February to April, which is the season when we come back.
Yes.
We come back in February.
Yeah.
So,
And
and we'll also be doing Z's segment. We've been
Yes.
talking about that all season. We do have a segment. And you would not be disappointed, or maybe you will be disappointed because it's Z's segment. But otherwise, we're still gonna do it because we said we would.
Yes.
So we're gonna leave it up to Mike to count the points, and we're also gonna announce who's the
winner
of this season.
Yeah.
I think we know who it is.
Maybe
Rigo.
we don't. Yeah.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll find out.
If
Well,
it's Z, then I guess Z won.
Yeah,
Are we allowed to pass points still or no?
I think we did. We did somewhere somehow. It would just say that.
or like hand points to each other. Maybe. We'll tally it.
We
We'll
never
tally
stopped it before, so I don't know. I don't see why not.
I remember we made a big deal last.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Z made a big deal about it.
Yeah, that's probably why we gave him all the points. And then he hated us after because he had to come up with a segment.
On that note, the film that we're reviewing is The Post, directed by Steven Spielberg. Here's the plot. A cover-up that spanned 4 U.S. presidents pushed the country's first female newspaper publisher and hard-driving editor to join an unprecedented battle between journalists and the government. It stars Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Sarah Paulson, Bob Odenkirk, Tracy Letts, Bradley Whitford, Matthew Rhys, Alison Brie, Jesse Plemons, David Cross, and a lot of distinguishable actors. All right, guys, so all 3 of us have seen this film, so we shall decide this movie's worth a dine-in, watch it in theaters, take out, wait and watch it at home, or leftovers. Go ahead and write a bad article about this review.
Yeah, release it on the Washington Post. Yeah.
Or ban any newspaper from ever watching our reviews.
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
All
That's
right.
good too.
Whoever earns the points this is the last chance to earn the points, guys. So whoever gets this point, you have an edge on getting, because not Z, because he's not here. Sorry, Z. You have a chance to go ahead and pick a segment of your choosing for next season finale, which will be in April of this year, 2018. So, guys, rate this film. Rigo.
I'm gonna go with Dine In.
I'm also gonna go with the Dine In.
All right.
Mike?
I'm going with the takeout.
Really,
Really? Yeah.
Mike? This is disappointing,
Is
but it's really typical of you.
it?
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
What? Okay.
So
what
it
was wrong
looks
with
like
it?
me and Rigo have to like actually speak truth here, because Mike, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So I think I feel like the editing of this film, the editing hurt this film to me.
Now, to be fair, Steven Spielberg was doing this film and editing it while also editing Ready Player One.
I
So-
know, but
but to me, I felt like the film was like flawlessly edited. I was not bothered by editing at all. In fact, I felt like they did a great job, even though this is based on a true story, and unfortunately, it's not a big enough story where it's, especially in today's time, it should be talked about more, because that was a big scandal, and it still is a big scandal that happened. I was still on the edge of my seat watching this film.
I feel like the important part of this film, it felt like it happened about halfway instead of in the first third of the film. So it felt like there was too much of a lead-in to get.
I don't agree, because it's set the precedent of how
the president?
the president
Of the United States? Yeah, the precedent.
of
I got
how the newspaper was ran, and
Yeah,
how it was back in the day, where it was all fluff pieces.
you. Yeah,
The wedding of the president's daughter, like all these, which is there's still fluff pieces to today's day. But that just shows like where there was no hard-hitting news. There was no
Well, there was, but
they
the
would-
Washington Post wasn't covering it. Basically, it was all the New York Post that was
the New
getting
York
those
Times.
pieces, or whatever. Yeah, the
yeah,
Times.
yeah, New York Times, yeah.
That they were just doing these fluff pieces or whatever, and they weren't like all going out of their way to do investigating journalism.
Yeah, and I understand the importance of the film and Meryl Streep's character and and of course this is a great film as this is like a women's rights kind of film, I would say. And
Women empowerment.
Yeah, women empowerment film for sure. And honestly, I was kind of slow to catch that until, but I understand you got to feel the progression of the film before you get to that point, or that's at least that's what I felt. But
I wouldn't say it was just empowerment. It was like equality with women.
yeah, and
it shows like how important they are as well, because there was also a female reporter.
yes, yeah, there was, who was trashed on, So yeah, and but even then, I felt like its setup took too long for me. But what made it dine in for you guys?
I thought the setup was great. The pacing of the movie was great too. It didn't feel too long. I was kind of afraid going in that it was gonna feel like, oh my god, we're gonna be here
boring.
Yeah, we're gonna be here bored till like the last part of the movie. But no,
this is no Jackie.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Definitely not Jackie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just everything was interesting to me. Just the way they kind of went into the relationships that reporters and people from the White House had back then. They were basically
they were like chums.
They were like buddies. So a lot of news stories that were would be big news stories were swept under the rug because of these relationships, and that's one of the things that Meryl Streep has to deal with. While her character, that she has a relationship with one of the characters that's heavily involved with the documents, and she has to make that decision whether she's gonna
release it
or choose to keep the friendship with the friend, which is kind of crazy too, because that's one of her like top advisors. So it's like she's basically it's either her paper or the friendship.
I also love the Meryl Streep's arc in the film, where they even talk about like in her day, the newspaper. This is not a spoiler. I don't think anything of this should be a spoiler. It's spoiler free.
Well, it's
history.
like Z said, a historical movie, so it's not.
But the newspaper it belonged to her. It was her father's. But when her father gave it to her husband. And there's a monologue that Meryl Streep says that she never even pasted. She didn't even think about it. She thought that's how it was back then. That's how it was. She was so proud when her husband got the newspaper. It never came to her that she should have gotten it because she's the actual daughter of the owner. And until now that she has it, and now she wants to protect it. And I just love that arc of hers, and just where she came from the beginning of the film, being terrified and having her advisors basically make the decisions for her to where she came out the end. And I just thought I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was definitely a great arc of the film.
And it was great to see Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep on screen together.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, and Meryl Streep have never made a movie together, which is so weird that they haven't. It seems like they would have worked together, all three of them, somewhere in their career. Yeah. But this is the first time. And what a movie to do it. For me, I felt like they did a very good job, especially in today's time where we have, not to get political or anything, but we have a president who is trying to call fake news and shut up the press now. So it's like kind of history repeating itself.
Yep. Yeah. Come on, Washington Post.
Break the news now.
No, but yeah, I found it very interesting that she as even in that one first scene where they're in the boardroom and they rehearse her through her lines that she's gonna say to the stock investors, and she kind of freezes. So in a way, the movie's also like a progression of her as a woman, as a leader, because she has to learn to put her foot down. She has to learn to speak her voice. Yes, and she has to. She has for a while. She does have a hard time understanding the power that she has, which is, to me, was like, oh, come on, like, say something, like you can totally just squash all this now. But I guess that's the progression of the character in the movie. What do you guys think about that?
No, I agree. That was probably my favorite part, was her arc and where she was in the beginning and where she ends up at the end. I love character arcs like that, where you see the change in them and you see them grow as a character. I loved it.
Yeah, when in the audience, when we saw it in the theater, some audience members were vocal about it.
Yeah, the same here. They were clapping.
Yeah, there was clappings and there was like yeah, which was kind of cool.
You go, girl.
It was you, Dan?
Yeah. Like, talk to the hand because you don't understand.
But yeah,
Nixon.
Yeah. But it's just crazy to see how this one president, basically had disregard for like the very important as far as the freedom of the press and everything. He just wanted to shut everything down, and how all these newspapers banded together to fight back when the New York Times got banned for posting those first couple of pages of that.
Now, speaking of which, let me interrupt you real quick. Fun fact: the New York Times actually did not want the post to be made. They were upset because the movie covers not so much the New York Times breaking the story, but what the Post did afterwards. So I made, because they broke the story and then they got sued, so they backed down, where the Post went ahead and continued their pursuit. So it made it seem like the New York Times were weak. So they were vocal about not being happy that this movie was coming out.
Well, it's not that they were weak. They were under federal injunction, so their hands were really tied.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess. But it was crazy. The movie's just crazy to see how all these reporters have to go through their sources or go through these channels to try to find the proper information, like the Bob, what's his name?
Yeah, Bob
Odenkirk.
Yeah,
his character.
Speaking of which, Bob Odenkirk and David Cross
are in this movie.
Film. Yeah, together.
Yeah, Mr. Show, Bob and Dave.
Yeah.
This is basically one big sketch. Yeah. It was the most expensive sketch Mr. Show ever had because Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks are in it. Yeah. And it's directed by Steven Spielberg. So this is not amazing. The Post. It's actually Mr. Show with Bob and Dave.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Like at the end, it was like, surprise.
Yeah. But yeah, they didn't. I'm sorry.
No.
I cut you off too. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Just the way his character.
No, I'm just kidding.
The way his character was like kind of like brushed away. Like don't, like Tom Hanks was like, don't come to me unless you have like concrete information.
Yeah.
And he's the one that had like everything. He's the one that had the best source. Yeah. So that was it's pretty interesting. To me.
So it was a few story arcs in this of people kind of like
rising up.
Yeah, and kind of. Fulfilling,
resisting,
or becoming who they want to be, and who they've been striving to be, and they're kind of figuring that out as they go. So Meryl Streep, of course, being the biggest her character arc being the biggest for this film, I would say. And overall, I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad film. I'm just saying, like, I think it just it could have started sooner to me. But that's my main criticism.
Because as someone who lives in today's time where we live with, so much technology, with computers, with cell phones, with people don't really read newspapers as much as they used to back in the day. It's all blogs or online news or whatnot. And it was nice to see how it was back then.
Yeah, it was super cool to see that. Yeah.
Especially just to set up. For me, it was like a setup of remember this? Remember how it used to be before all this? Let's remind you how it was and how hard-hitting these newspapers could potentially be and how they ended up being with these scandals. Because after all that, I mean, there was so many scandals in the White House. Some of them were brushed under, but at least with this one, it wasn't. Yeah. This was over 4 presidents, one of the biggest scandals. So it's nice to see at least a setup for that. Yeah. So I enjoyed, the setup. It didn't feel long for me because it was like it was bringing me back to that time.
Okay.
For me at least.
Yeah, and also the way papers were made back then too.
Oh, I know that was cool.
That was like so interesting.
Yeah, they're like these like stamped letterings, and they have to like rearrange. I don't know what they or organize each word.
And all of it backwards.
Yeah,
and it's like and everything had like a super deadline. I'm pretty sure they do now, but I guess today with everything being all digital, it's a lot easier than it was back then. Because back then they were like, "Oh, come on, are we gonna release a story? We got till this time."
Which actually made me kind of sad because thinking back now, a part of me was like, "Oh, these people don't have jobs anymore because it's all digital now." I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, most of those people are probably retired by now, so before it changed.
No, I mean like just in general, like people can't have that job anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a lost art. But anyways, this is about the post. So what did you guys think about the directing of Steven Spielberg? So, Mike, you must have some type of problem with it because you didn't like the pacing of the film.
Yeah, there was a lot of dramatic slow zooms going in, which it didn't bother me that much. But
that's his niche. That's his bread and butter. That's how he gets you as an audience member.
Yeah, I think the main fault of it was. So there's a setup to this, and then there's a setup to the papers. So we're referring to the Vietnam War and the scandal behind.
Speaking of which, this movie was originally called The Post, and they changed it to The Paper. Oh, and now they call it The Post again. Just going.
Interesting. Why did they do that?
Oh, I think it's because of the New York Times being angry, and they're like, "Screw you, New York Times."
I think they painted the New York Times in a good picture. They made them sound like a monster paper,
like a juggernaut, because they always kept referencing that one reporter that had all the scoops. So the Post Post was
Neil
like
something.
Yeah, like
Neil Strauss.
Like, what is this guy up to? Where we haven't seen him in any of the press conferences or anything. So. Yeah. So no, they showed them as being the newspaper at the time. They were the newspaper.
And then when their hands are tied, like they don't paint them as like backing down or weak. It's like it's like a big paper that the government knocked down, and then it was like everybody banding together after. So it wasn't it didn't paint the New York Times as bad.
Kind of like what happened to Disney last year when they tried to block out the LA Times from the movie screenings, and everyone was against them.
Yeah. How'd you feel about that, Dan?
About Disney?
The LA, yeah.
Oh, no, I thought it was BS that Disney tried to do that. So, I mean, that they deserved it. I mean, I'm a Disney fan, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they were smart enough to go ahead and turn it over too, and not keep it ongoing.
Got it.
So
with Disney, it's LA Times, and
that's
they're
the sequel.
Yeah.
That's
the
true.
Post Part 2.
No, but that's only happened that lasted like a day or a couple of days or something.
You could still make a movie out of that.
Yeah, I guess. You hear that, Disney? We're gonna make that movie.
Yeah. I think you've just scared Disney.
No,
they're going to shut us down.
They're going to buy the
No,
studio.
we're the Meryl Streeps of podcast. They can't touch us. We are not overrated.
They're going to buy the podcast and be like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're going to merge the podcast.
You know what? Buy us. Yeah, let's do that. For $4.6 billion.
We're just as popular as Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like Marvel and Pixar.
Absolutely. No, so yeah, that's pretty much. So script wise, I just felt like there's a huge lull before the setup where Meryl Streep's character becomes challenged, and in comparison to that, like I don't know. I was just hoping there was.
You wanted it to be tighter.
Yeah. As far as the setup to that point, and I don't know. I know it's all taste, but maybe a little bit more heavy-handed. I don't know. More of a punch, like once she stands up.
Well, it's history. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know.
You wanted to like
I wanted
write
more
in
drama.
You wanted her to write in a unicorn and be like, "Bitches, my super."
How much more drama do you need, though? It was like super intense in that room.
There was a lot of waking up and knocking.
There was
I also loved. I will say, even though she had a really small part, I thought she would have a bigger part. Sarah Paulson as Tom Hanks' wife.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed her monologue where she was talking about how much Meryl
Kinda-
Streep had to lose.
Yeah. She's putting things in perspective for Tom Hanks' character.
which he didn't realize at the time.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped him to like make some decisions.
Yeah, which was also a character arc as well. Tom Hanks kind of coming to the realization of the amount of weight that's on Meryl Streep's character's shoulders.
I took my mom to see this movie.
Oh, yeah,
and
what was
that
your
was her. That was her. That was her favorite part. Was, well, not just her favorite part, but she's just like, you see, it took a woman to tell a man or remind a man, the struggle or something like that. I forgot what she said.
Okay.
But it was, she liked the fact that it was his wife who
Put him on check.
Put him on check, basically. Yeah, because he's like, well, I have, and she's like, yeah. You have so much to lose,
I'm
but
brave.
she, but she has more to lose. So and it's true, and I like the fact that they put that in the film as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like this movie, even though it took place in like the 70s, I believe, the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
How it's
It was
still
early 70s. Yeah.
It's still relevant today.
Yeah, it is.
Whether good or bad.
Yeah.
It's still a very relevant film, and that's why I think it's a dine-in. You need to watch this in theaters because educate yourself, be what the kids say, and get woke.
Yeah, because nowadays it's kind of easier though with like WikiLeaks and all that stuff. You you kind of get access to that stuff a lot.
Actually, the sequel is it should be Nixon's
the Watergate.
The Watergate.
Yeah, because
that's where it ends.
Yeah. But I guess I just want to add this little thing. My favorite part of the movie was Tom Hanks' daughter and her lemonade stand. That was just hilarious to me.
That was great.
If you watch the movie, you'll understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, that was good. It's a good reference for sure. Okay.
All right, so Tom Hanks. What do you guys? So the actors. Did you enjoy the acting?
Yeah, I enjoyed the acting. I think a part of we do see Meryl Streep's character in the passive role for a very long time. But maybe that's the point of the film. Maybe this warrants a second watching from me. I don't know.
In theaters.
Okay.
when it's released everywhere, because right now it's in limited release.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll give it a second chance. But for now, I still stand as takeout. So yeah.
Well, I still stand as dine-in.
All right. Well,
Rigo?
just leave it as it
I
is.
still think it's a dine-in.
2 against 1. It's a dine-in. High five, Rigo.
Yeah.
Joining forces to take Mike down.
We actually agree
like-
on something for once.
It's like
Yeah, we
G.I.
agree.
Joe's. Yeah, like I'm like an alien, and one of you guys are Cobra, and the other guys are G.I. Joe's.
Cobra. G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that would do it for us here at Movie Menu Podcast, Movie Menu Reviews. Thank you so much, our special correspondent, Rigo, for being on the show.
Yes, thank you guys for
You got a
having me.
point.
I know.
I got a point. Mike, no points for you.
Yay! Aw.
Thank you, Mike, for being on the show. Rigo, did you want to say anything?
Oh no, just go watch this movie, and I know it's not wide release yet. It's not till the 15th of January, but when it does wide release, go watch it.
Oh, actually, I forgot to ask. Do you think this has an Oscar chance?
Yeah, it has it has a chance to be nominated, but for me right now, it's the Disaster Artist Oscar to lose. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Mike, do you think this has a chance of being nominated or maybe winning?
Oh yeah, this is gonna be nominated for sure.
Is
But
this what you call Oscar bait?
Yes, totally.
I don't know. This movie is better than that. I think this is a good movie worth the nomination.
This movie, like, I'm sure this movie had the nomination before anyone even saw it. So, I don't know.
No, that's All the Money in the World, but that's a different story.
Yeah, but that didn't even get nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah, it did.
It did for
Yeah.
Oh wow! I saw All the Money in the World, and I can honestly say I enjoyed The Post a lot more. But I did find it amazing. The amount of with the amount of time that Ridley Scott had to like re-edit the film, it came out right.
I saw it
really
too,
well.
and actually, I was surprised of how much I did enjoy it because I don't really like Ridley Scott anymore. But but he did a good job.
Interesting.
Man,
So-
I was impressed.
So turnaround for Ridley Scott?
Not for the Alien film that he did this year. That was
Okay.
still terrible.
Yeah.
But for that movie, it was fine. Anyways,
Okay.
so thank you, Mike, for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
And so we decided to dine in, watch it in theaters for the Post. Make sure to go watch it. Rigo, you said it's out the 15th of January, right?
Should be out the 15th.
So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for the nomination at the Oscar, which it probably will most likely, actually it will get. You hear it here first at Movie Menu Reviews. The Post will be nominated for an Oscar.
It will.
And if not, then we fire Mike.
Yes. And maybe Bob Odenkirk finally gets a Best Supporting Actor nod.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be great. Yeah, I'd like
Who
to see that.
knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So next week will be our season finale. So you guys make sure to stay tuned for that. It should be a fun ride with a bunch of arguing because we have to discuss our top films of 2017
Yes.
and our most disappointing films of 2017 and our most anticipated film. This one film from February to April of this year. So it should be a fun and doing Z segment. So let's come back next week for our new episode of Movie Menu Reviews. Until next time, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Most disappointing movie, Star Wars.
Most disappointing person, Rigo.
My parents tell me that all the time.